All right, welcome everybody to tonight's city council meeting. This is our annual organizational meeting that we have after the election that happened earlier this month on the 2nd of April. So I will call that meeting to order. And before we can take roll, we need to get some people sworn into office here. So we have oath of offices for Barb? So the people that were just elected, you know who you are, so if you want to just stand up right at your spot.
Okay, if you could raise your right hand. I state your name. Having been elected to the position of mayor and alderperson for the city of Waupaca, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin and all county and municipal ordinances, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my abilities under the penalties of perjury.
I will. I do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. If you haven't signed the oath and gotten it back to Barb yet, you want to do that. I do want to welcome our newest member to the city council, and he won election, and that is Eric Halverson. So Eric, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy it as much as we do.
I hope you do too.
Uh-oh. All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So again, I talked to Eric a little bit before the meeting. I just wanted to make sure that he said he's pretty familiar with how the meetings run, but if he has any questions, of course, he can ask. And so we're going to try and be a little bit more deliberate tonight to make sure that the things that we take for granted, that he does understand what we're talking about. All right, with everybody in place, Barb, you want to take roll?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, first thing on this agenda then, once we approved it, is the election of council president. Do we have any nominations for council president?
I nominate Paul Mayo.
We have a nomination.
Second.
We don't need a second, but
Okay.
do we have any other nominations for council president? Any other nominations for council president? Hearing none, I'll declare the nominations closed, and we'll just vote on Paul Mayo as our council president. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, knowing that, then, we have appointments to the boards and the commissions and the committees. So we have appointments to the boards, commissions, and committees for this upcoming year, and I will turn it over to our council president, Paul Mayo.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay, first we have City Plan Commission. The mayor recommends Henry Veliker as the council member of the city council, as a city plan commission. I would need a motion and a second to approve this recommendation.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Martin, second by Olson, to approve the mayor's recommendation of Henry Veliker as the city council member of the city plan commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next up, we have the airport board. Mayor Smith recommends Paul Hagan as a council member of the airport board. I need a motion and a second to approve this recommendation.
So move. Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Dykstra, to approve the mayor's recommendation of Paul Hagan as a council member of the airport board. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, I have a long list here, and at the end of it, we'll take another vote. We'll start out with the Board of Review. Eric Halverson, Dimitri Martin, and Henry Veliker as alternate. Board of Appeals, Scott Perchatsky, Paul Hagan as alternate. Library Board, Corey Nagel, Colin Dykstra alternate, Holly Olson, Leilana Legal Youth Representative, and Elisa Forseth, alternate Youth Representative. Park and Recreation Board, Derek Trebetowski, alternate Youth Representative, Eric Olson, Dimitri Martin, Megan Waller, Alton Ross, Youth Representative, Lily Lewis, Youth Representative. Police and Fire Commission, Colin Dykstra, Romy Youngers. Community Development Authority, Pam Gusmer, Denise Ross. Recycling District, Colin Dykstra, Henry Veliker, alternate. Waupaca Area Fire District, Brian Smith, Colin Dykstra. Historic Preservation Commission, Faye Wilson, Eric Helverson, Todd Jones, Corey Nagel, Lucas Soto, Youth Representative, David Trebetowski, alternate Youth Representative. Emergency Management Committee, Ben Coonan, Andy Carlin, Colin Dykstra, Stacy Nellis, Jerry Duman, Brian Holzell, Justin Behrens, Aaron Jensen, Josh Werner, Ron Sari, Lucas Soto, Youth Representative, Derek Trebetowski, alternate Youth Representative. Public Engagement Committee, Colin Dykstra, Henry Veliker, Laura Colbert, Stephanie Reif, Aaron Jensen, Brogan Kenziora, Greg Groman, Chairperson, Brett Woodends, David Trebetowski, Youth Representative, Alton Ross, alternate Youth Representative. Personnel Committee, Aaron Jensen, Stephanie Reif, Caitlin Weirs, Justin Behrens, Paul Benchwal, sorry, Paul, Jeff Sommer, Patsy Servey, Jan Poppel, Josh Werner, Jared Kavila, Eric Helverson, Paul Mayo. Sewer and Water Utility Board, Scott Perchatsky, Paul Hagan, Dimitri Martin, Stephanie Reif, Rob Crowley, Justin Behrens, Miles Wenberg, Youth Representative, Noah Kolinsky, alternate Youth Representative. Inland Waters Committee, Alderman Dimitri Martin, Alderman Colin Dykstra, Alderman Scott Perchatsky, Alan Keeland, Laura Colbert, Levi Ketchum, Elisa Forseth, Youth Representative, Hudson Handrich, alternate Youth Representative. WAHA Board of Directors, Colin Dykstra. Historical Society, Corey Nagel. Joint Review Board, Dimitri Martin. East Central Planning Commission, Brian Smith. Aaron Jensen, alternate. Waupaca Area Convention and Visitors Bureau Room Tax Board, Henry Veliker, Aaron Jensen. Waupaca Senior Center Advisory Board, Dave Peterson. Waupaca Area Arts and Cultural Network, Henry Veliker. Friends of Mirror and Shadow Lakes, Dimitri Martin. This time I need a motion and a second to approve the mayor's appointments.
Move to approve.
Second?
Moved by Olson, second by Martin, to approve the mayor's appointments to the boards, commissions, and committees. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right.
Back to you, Mayor.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Barb, in the next day or so, will be actually sending this out to you, so if you didn't catch it tonight, we'll make sure that you get it out so you know exactly which one of these committees, boards, or commissions that you're on. If you are an alternate, we do ask and suggest that you still attend the meeting. I know it's not as much fun when you don't get to vote, but many times, we don't know until the day of or the day before that the regular attendee is able to show up for that meeting. So it would be great if you had the background on it and were able to attend those meetings. But again, remember, if you are an alternate, and you'll see that on the list, that the only time you have voting rights is if the original appointee is not in attendance that night. All right, that is the organizational meeting. So we need a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Peterson, that we adjourn the annual organizational meeting of the City of Waupaca Common Council. Any discussion? This doesn't mean that you can leave. Sorry, I shouldn't have said discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 6:15 PM. Again, we have one more thing before we get to the city council meeting. This is an ordinance to amend, a public hearing. It's a public hearing of an ordinance to amend Chapter 18 subdivision and plating code, ordinance number 07/2024. This is again, Jarrett doing his duty here. So Jarrett, you want to tell us what's going on?
Happy to give a brief description. Oh,
Did you have something to say, Henry?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, no problem.
happy to go through this. If Justin has any comments, he can certainly jump in as well. This was in collaboration between my department and his. So this ordinance, it does have some cleanup in our subdivision ordinance or subdivision section of the code as it relates to design standards for streets. So this came about as we are looking at doing some upcoming subdivision platting, street construction, as well as taking a look at a variety of other factors that are currently going on regarding cost of construction, cost of housing, things we can do to try to cut back on that and help with affordability. And one of those things was looking at, how wide we require streets to be. Obviously, the wider you have the streets, the more expensive it is for underlayment, asphalt, et cetera. So to try to cut back on that a little bit, we just took a look at what we had for current width requirements and tried to just loosen them, and give them more of a range. So a lot of these, if you look further into the packet, you can see a blue line, aka red line, of every different type of street now, from major, collector, minor, cul-de-sacs, alleys, pedestrian ways, has a range, and was also given a little bit of a leeway. So reduced by a certain percentage or a certain amount that staff felt was still adequate for vehicle movements, emergency services, et cetera, but was able or would allow subdividers or developers to reduce the width and cut cost. So happy to take any questions when that time comes.
Thanks, Jarrett. Again, this is just a public hearing, so there are not any questions to be asked, but just a public hearing. So if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this ordinance in favor of this ordinance change, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor of? Hearing none, we'll go to opposition. Is there any testimony in opposition? Any testimony in opposition? Again, hearing none, we'll declare this hearing closed at 6:18 PM. Thank you, Jared. Next up, we're going to go right into the city council meeting. The reason that we're here for sure tonight. Let me just get to the right page. All right, welcome everybody to our regular scheduled city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, and it is 6:19 PM. And as always, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Okay, and we'll have Barb read, our clerk read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thanks, Barb. And you want to take roll also?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson, Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
Aye.
Thanks, Barb. And then, do you want to start the introduction of our staff that's here tonight too with us?
Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Matt Klatt, Airport Manager.
Jan Popple, Head of Adult Services, Waupaca Library.
Jared Kivila, Community and Economic Development.
Stephanie Reif, Finance Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Brian Hosell, Chief of Police.
Thanks. And of course, Josh Warner is with us too. He's in the background, making sure that we get this out on Facebook and TV and radio and wherever else we feel that it needs to get out to. So, knowing that, we have a consent agenda. And on that consent agenda, we have a number of items on there. What we do with the consent agenda is we take all of those items with one motion. You do have the opportunity, though, if you see something on the consent agenda that can be moved to the regular agenda, just speak up and we will move that to the regular agenda, which would mean that we would take one motion on that separate item. Anybody that would like to see something from the consent agenda moved? If not, we would need a motion to approve consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Nagel, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? Just a voice vote here. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no.
Aye.
Motion carried. Regular agenda, the regular agenda is as printed, so again, we would just need a motion to approve.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Nagel, that we approve the regular agenda. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, under announcements and correspondence, we have some certificates and a couple of proclamations that we need to take care of too. So we'll begin with a presentation of a certificate of appreciation to Alyssa Durant for her services as youth member for the Parks and Rec Board. And I know that Alyssa is here tonight. So Alyssa, you want to just come on up? Got to give you the right one, though. So this certificate, you want to turn around maybe there? It's just a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Alyssa Durant in appreciation of your services, youth member on the Parks and Rec Board for the City of Waupaca. And it's signed by the mayor. So congratulations. Thanks. How did you like it?
It was great.
Awesome. That's all you want to say?
Okay. I really enjoyed my time with people. It was great. And it was a really great experience to get involved with the local government and to kind of figure out just how stuff in the city works. There's a lot that goes on that you don't see.
Well, thanks, congratulations. All right, we have two more. I do not think they're here tonight, so I'll just announce them. We have a presentation of certificate to Noel Iskin for his service as youth member on the library board and the airport board. So we'll make sure that Noel gets his certificate also. And the other one is a presentation of certificate of appreciation to Josie Peterson for her services as youth member on the public engagement committee. So again, looks like I got a little note, Josie's playing softball tonight, so she wasn't able to attend. So we'll make sure that she gets those certificates also. Public input is the next item on the agenda. This is for non-agenda items. If there's anybody in the audience or, oh, yeah, thanks. Sorry. Thank God I have Barb here. Okay, I'm sorry. Can I go back? I missed a couple of things on here. So we do have a couple of proclamations before the public input. The first one is the Arbor Day proclamation, and I've asked Justin to read that for us tonight.
Absolutely, Mayor. So 107 of the packet, Arbor Day proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees, whenever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas Waupaca has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, Mayor Brian Smith of the City of Waupaca, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim the 26th of April 2024 is Arbor Day in the City of Waupaca, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our city's urban forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations.
Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome.
All right, next up, another proclamation. This one has to do with Earth Day, and I've asked Laura to read that one for us.
Thank you, Mayor. You can find this on page 108. In the early 1960s, Senator Gaylord Nelson of Wisconsin began a movement to highlight mounting environmental problems. Earth Day continues to promote environmental awareness and celebrate the limitless possibilities for all people to care for our land, air, rivers, lakes, and oceans. Earth Day is an international phenomenon observed in more than 180 countries spanning every continent. Individuals and communities come together with a unified purpose to address issues such as climate change, species extinction, managing growth, economics, and emerging technology. Whereas the City of Waupaca's lands, waters, air, and other natural resources should be protected and preserved at all costs. This goal of environmental sustainability is the legacy we wish to leave for those who follow us. And whereas the City of Waupaca supports and strengthens its commitment to the environment by working together to protect these natural resources is essential to the continued quality of life of the residents of the Badger State. And whereas the City of Waupaca recognizes the spirit of Earth Day as a global event that celebrates environmental achievements and raises awareness for environmental issues and provides a unique opportunity for people across the state and nation to promote environmental stewardship by setting goals and taking actions to lessen the negative impact on the environment. Now, therefore, Mayor Brian Smith, on behalf of the City of Waupaca, does hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day and welcomes the support of all residents in our quest to create a clean, green, and healthy Waupaca. Dated the 16th day of April 2024.
Thank you, Laura. All right, next up now is public input. This is for non-agenda items. If anybody would like to speak, I know, Dimitri, you had your hand up, so I'll go right to you.
I just got a letter from one of my constituents asking me to share some information with the city council in regards to his concerns with the city assessor and some comments that she made. So rather than maybe read this, I just ask permission to circulate it?
Absolutely.
amongst us? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dimitri. Okay, other public input. Laura, you want to?
Sure. As the department that highlights quality of life and recreation, I would like to highlight the Arts Hub, which is in its third year, is having its Fun, F-U-N, Raiser this Saturday, April 20th. It's in the evening, and they are selling tickets for $50 a piece. They will have appetizers that are made by one of the chefs from the Green Fountain Inn, and then Mojo and the Flip Side will be playing in a band. So if you're interested in attending the fundraiser, I have a few tickets here that I can offload, and then also you can get tickets online at thewaupacaartshub.com.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome.
I know we have Mike Olinger, who's in the audience, who wanted to speak to us too tonight. So, Mike, you want to just lift that mic up so that everybody can hear you?
Hi, I'm Mike Olinger. I live at E1057 West Spring Pines Road here in Waupaca. I'd like to thank the Common Council for this opportunity to come before you and talk about an event that hopefully will be beneficial to all the citizens of Waupaca and all the surrounding areas. On behalf of the Waupaca Community Arts Board, dotted line from the Arts Hub, and the Public Library, the Poetry Committee, which I'm part of the Arts Board, would like to invite and encourage those attending, listening, and watching the Common Council meeting here, and all others to come out and spend a relaxing evening of poetry next Wednesday. Waupaca Awakens with Poetry is the theme this year. The event is being held at Waupaca Public Library, downstairs here in the meeting room, next Wednesday, the 24th. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. The doors open at 6. We'll have some refreshments and snacks for you. Like I said, doors open at 6, and James Botsford is our speaker. He is a poet, an author, and he's a retired attorney dedicated to Native American rights. He's going to be the featured poet for that night. We'll also be announcing the winners of our poetry contest for a month, beginning of middle of March until just last week. We had a poetry contest just like last year. The winners will be announced during that, and hopefully they'll be there to read the poems, first, second, and third place. Another favorite thing that happens that night is we have an open mic night. So local poets and people that would like to come in and read their original written poetry of any kind, they're more than welcome down. Poetry is a sort of an interesting thing because sometimes it rhymes, sometimes it doesn't. You have haikus, you have tankas, different things you've seen around. Sometimes we don't even know what those are. But we're gonna have a couple of those, and I'll shorten my 3 minutes up here a second. But if this is some of the kind of stuff that comes into us. Waupaca rain. The skies get dark, the clouds roll in, the winds pick up, the rains begin. It's a warm summer rain quenching earth thirst. It's not a big downpour or a major outburst. I look at the sky and lightning appears. The thunder then follows and booms in my ears. I look at the radar to see what's coming. I continue to hear the thunder drumming. As quickly as it started, the weather subsided. As usual around Waupaca, the cells are divided. No one can explain this strange event, why it happens, or just how frequent. The rain seems to be just the right amount to water all living things, at least by my account. So now the rains are gone, at least for the time being, and our town of Waupaca enjoys its well-being. Stay safe, Waupaca. So those are some of the things that are out there, and it's sort of nice to share that kind of thing. So on behalf of the Arts Board, Public Library, our poetry committee. I'd like to thank the Common Council, all the citizens of Waupaca and the communities all around us in advance for making this an event that hopefully will surely be one that we'll continue to have for years to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, anybody else? I think, Colin, I'm sorry, I kind of skipped over you, so.
No, you didn't. You're fine. Mr. Mayor and fellow council members, last Wednesday, myself, Jared, Aaron, and Scott Perchatsky got to attend the roundtable meeting that was put together by the League of Wisconsin Municipalities I mentioned a couple of meetings ago. It was over in Whiting at the town hall. Attendees included Stevens Point's Mayor Mike Wiesa, I believe you say it, the newly elected mayor of Wausau, Doug Dinney, New London City Administrator, a friend of Aaron, well, a colleague, I say, of Aaron's, or a cohort maybe.
He's my friend, too.
Yeah. Nelsonville's trustee, Wally Leppin, I know from hockey. And the reason I say all these people is that there were people from every community, large and small, in the area to come check this out. And so there was a lot of interest there. We got to hear some presentations from a number of different organizations. The first theme was around getting housing ready in your community. One of the great presentations was from the USDA Department of Agriculture Office of Rural Development, which talked about a number of grants and things that are available for communities such as ours to look into. WIDA was also able to supply some, they had hoped to attend but didn't, but also supplied some information to us. And then another gentleman, Kurt Watinsky, who was also part of the league in the past but is now a consultant, gave a presentation from More Housing Wisconsin, which is a partnership between the league, the Wisconsin Builders Association, and the Wisconsin Realtors Association to try and update people on success stories around the state from organizations or communities that are finding a way to put affordable housing in their municipality. They have a website on the league's page and also a number of brochures. This one was, the first one was a checklist for municipalities. We were happy to see that Waupaca has already completed a lot of the things on their checklist, so I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve here. So props to Jared and his department and everybody else for doing that. Today, there was another, monthly they're going to do 15-minute or so success story interviews from people around the state. They had a guy, the city administrator from Ripon last month. This month, a professor, I believe from the University of Madison, gave a presentation, a 15-minute presentation. If you've got time, those are worthwhile information sources to help get us ready for everybody's kind of push for affordable housing. We got to have some social discussion time, and then after that, there was a league update from a number of people. Jerry Deshane, the executive director, gave a couple of points. One of the takeaways I wanted to share with everybody here was he mentioned that the number of grants available is basically a once-in-a-lifetime event, in his opinion, in the state. And he said if you guys can take advantage of those grants in your community, you'll be way ahead as opposed to other communities. And I thought that was important in light of our recent I don't know what you'd call it, employment or adding our grant writer to our community. It's something that's, I think, puts us in a better position than maybe other communities, and it really says a lot to our taxpayers that we're doing, I think, what's appropriate and in the best interest of our community. Zach, their chief operating officer, talked about housing and brownfield grant information that's going to be in next month's municipality magazine. A couple of people, Tony Herkert and State Senator Patrick Teston, both talked about the league's lobbying efforts at the Capitol and their major success this year, which was the shared revenue bill that passed. And they wanted to say basically thank you to everybody who supported that effort, and what a great thing it is for our small communities to have access to that funding for the foreseeable future. One of the small points, but I think is important, especially for city council members, there used to be a program that I know a number of us have attended, and even some of our department heads, called Local Government 101 that the league put on, that they're going to transfer to an online-based education program that you can take as you see fit. I attended 101. I know Alder Prochatsky did, and I think Barb did as well, and numbers of others. It was a useful resource for me, and anybody else who wants to use that in the future should look on the league's website for that, the new education program. We had a good roundtable discussion where a number of community members from different communities brought up points, and we all discussed them. It was kind of interesting. For me, the one takeaway I had brought up was we had talked a little bit about had anybody else tackled problems with nuisance properties or code violations. And one gentleman said, he mentioned a property that his community had spent over 3 years trying to bring up the code or whatnot. That property that they were struggling with took a long time, and his advice was make sure, one of the pieces of advice was to make sure your DA is on board with your strategies, because if you have to bring it to court, you don't want to spend all that time and money and then get the DA to throw it out. So anyway, that was the event. It was very interesting to me. I think we all got something out of it, and I wanted to let the fellow council members know a little bit about what we learned. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you for attending, summarizing that for us. All right, let's go back to the agenda. Oh, do we have any other public input? I'm sorry. Any other public input? Let's go to community department head reports. I see that we have Tracy Barron in the audience tonight, representing the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for including an update tonight about the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network, which we lovingly refer to as WACN, on this agenda this evening. I am Tracy Barron, and I've been the director with the Waupaca Historical Society now for almost 8 years. And thank you so much for your support of both the society and the network. The Waupaca Historical Society has been a part of the network since its beginning and sees the network as a great way to partner with other arts and cultural organizations while enriching our community. I'm here tonight to provide you with a quick look at what the Historical Society has been doing in this, which is now ending our 70th year, and what we have coming up this summer. The Waupaca Historical Society works closely with not only the community and arts and cultural organizations, but also the city of Waupaca. We are incredibly thankful for the city's continued support of the Waupaca Historical Society and our mission to preserve the city's history. So like I mentioned, the Historical Society is wrapping up on celebrating our celebration of the 70th anniversary this April here. We just completed our first ever capital campaign in December and raised more than $188,000 toward projects at our 4 buildings. So far, the first 3 projects were focused on the Holly Center: a new roof, a renovated lower level meeting room with a hearing loop, new sound system and new lightweight furniture, and a renovated kitchen area with locking storage for our growing artifact collection. We currently have nearly 10,000 objects in our collections across all 4 buildings. The Holly Center provides the most climate-controlled and secure collection storage area. And we are currently in the planning stages of our next capital campaign project, which is a new HVAC system at the Hutchinson House Museum. This will bring cool air to the 2nd floor and help us control the humidity in that building. Looking ahead to the summer, we are looking forward to opening all of our buildings to the public. As always, we provide tours free of charge and are also willing to schedule tours by appointment. Our next event is Family Fun Day at the Depot on Saturday, May 18th from 10 to 2. This is our 7th year collaborating with the Waupaca Public Library on this event, which features family activities and tours of the depot and the grounds. At the Hutchinson House Museum in South Park this summer, we will be hosting our 3rd annual Lost Arts event, featuring demonstrations of vintage arts and crafts, live music, children's activities, and food. This event is Saturday, June 22nd from 10 to 4. Now, through all these efforts, the Waupaca Historical Society works to preserve the history of Waupaca and the chain of lakes and share this history with others. We continue to grow our collections, make them accessible to the community and visitors, and offer free programs and events throughout the year that are family-friendly and community-minded. We are also actively leading or participating in a variety of projects in our area. These include working with the Wisconsin Veterans Home to preserve the Commandant's House, collaborating with the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin and the Forest County Potawatomi on educating our county on our Indigenous history, and working with the library to digitize the Waupaca newspaper collection. We are also working on a walking tour app, which will include the downtown. And we've also begun new relationships with UW-Stevens Point and the Waupaca High School to work with students to learn and tell the history of Waupaca and the Chain of Lakes. We partner with community organizations throughout the year, with our focus being the growing Yuletide Trail event, which will be in its 6th year this year. Through these efforts and all we do at our buildings across the city of Waupaca, we strive to increase people's sense of community and belonging through our shared history and love for the Chain of Lakes and Waupaca. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this update on the Waupaca Historical Society and the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. We hope you can visit the Waupaca Historical Society this summer. And thank you again for your support of the Historical Society's mission and showing our community the importance of preserving Waupaca history.
Thanks, Tracy. It's always nice to hear what's going on in the community with you. So,
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, let's go to department head reports, and we'll start over on our left, my left here. Matt Klatt, Airport Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Traffic and fuel sales continue to increase as the weather gets warmer. We're hoping to finalize the purchase of 2 porta potties and a hand sanitize station this week. We got a lot of events that require the porta potties, and our local source for rentals has retired, and alternative rates are substantially higher than we had in the past. So we're going to get 2 of them, and the event organizers will just basically rent them from us. We'll handle the cleaning and sanitization of them. Jared and I have a meeting on Thursday for a potentially big event for 2025 and beyond. We're hoping to have good news and more details in months to come, but we're pretty positive it's going to move forward. Brittany and I will be attending the annual Wisconsin Bureau of Aeronautics Land Use Seminar May 1st to the 2nd. And as always, every Thursday is Pancake and Donut Day at the airport, so stop out.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody have any questions or comments for Matt? All right, Jan is stepping in for Eric tonight, so Jan, welcome.
Thank you. There's just a few things I want to talk about we have had happen and are looking forward to doing at the library. One of the things we are excited to report about is our viewing of the eclipse that took place on the 8th. We had a large outpouring of people that were excited about that. I know that originally it was supposed to be cloudy. We had a lot of people coming into the library going, we didn't get glasses because it was supposed to be a cloudy day. I can tell you, as one of the people working that morning, we had a line of people from our desk all the way out to the lobby doors to get glasses to view the eclipse, even though it wasn't a total eclipse, but it was quite amazing. We had a stockpile of glasses. We went through hundreds of glasses that morning, and we were out of glasses before 10:30. So it was pretty crazy and a lot of fun. We are also going to be involved in the State Park Pass program again this year, where we are going to have some passes available at the library starting May 1st, where you can come to the library and you can essentially check out a park pass that is good for 1 day at a state park. 1 car, 1 family per month. So we'll have, I think we have 20. So they're going to be good until they're gone. So that'll be available. Also, we are also for the exhibit room. There's an exhibit on the Shine exhibit, which is a collaboration with the Waupaca Community Arts Board. It's showcasing and explaining the process for the community art installation that's going to be happening, of the fused glass exhibits that were funded in part by the Wisconsin Arts Board and the National Endowment for the Arts. They're working with the Foundry to create a new installation, and it's going to be 170 different pieces of glass art that the community actually got together and created. They had classes, I think, that started, I want to say last summer, where community members could go and take these classes, create these pieces of art, and then the Foundry is going to be putting them into this installation. It's down in the exhibit room. They have some on display there if you want to come see what some people have made. It's very amazing. It's very pretty. A lot of those people are very creative. I also wanted to mention that the library has created a podcast. We have 4 members at the library that got together and have created a library podcast. It's called The Table of Contents. You can find it on the library website and also, I believe, on Spotify. We are essentially just talking about some of the things that are happening in the library, touching on things that are happening in the city. Just kind of, it's a very casual podcast. We get together, we talk about the things we're reading and seeing, and sometimes kind of goofy. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. We're going to be recording our next one soon. So we had our first one in April. Our second episode should be coming out soon. And I also want to mention that we have a new head of adult services, which is myself. It started last week. So I'm looking forward to being a part of the library in this capacity and helping out my staff and being a part of the city and watching the library grow. So thank you for all that, and let me be here.
Thanks, Jan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Colin.
First of all, congratulations on your, promotion.
Thank you.
And second, you had talked about the State Parks Pass. As I recall, that's funded by the Friends of the Library. Is that correct? At least it was last year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they continued to fund that again.
Okay, thank you. For anybody who's not familiar with it, it's a great program. I utilized it myself last year. It's very easy to do. You walk in the library, go to the front desk, show them your library card. A couple of minutes, you got a pass to go out to Hartman Creek or wherever you're going, and off you go. And please take advantage of it. It's really kind of a neat service that's funded by not your city, but through your city. And the Friends of the Park Library would certainly love if you took advantage of it.
Thanks, Colin. Any other comments or questions for Jan? Let's move over to Jared.
Thank you very much, Mayor. My report can be found on page 34 of your packets. So we did have a downtown partnership meeting on March 26th. Went very well. Thank you again to Colin, who attended as an alderperson. Did hear some really great feedback. People were happy that you were there and offered your input and thoughts. So thank you again. The next meeting will be on May 14th at 7:30 at the lower level library meeting room. If anybody would like to be on the email thread, please let me know, or if you'd like to attend, it is an open meeting. Otherwise, there will be future meetings, so if you can't make that one, please watch out for the others. Development updates, a few probably you guys have your eyes on. 223 Division Street, that is the multifamily development that was taking the place of the old St. Mary's Church that is now down. Still working with them. They have been working on Phase 3 power with WPS. So they're working on approvals, getting that hooked up and all the site prepped and ready to go before they start. So still moving along on that. Not the timeline we had originally hoped for, but again, still moving nonetheless. 108 East Union, which I know Aaron and myself continue to get many questions about, and that is the new Mexican restaurant that is opening up next door. We do not have an opening date for them. So just an update on that. We are hoping summer, and we're optimistic, but they have not solidified a date for that. I'll leave those two for Aaron. Super exciting that just this year we've had approximately 11 new homes that have come in for permits. A few of them have been approved. A few of them are still in the works. A few of them are a part of the Oak Street Mobile Home Park. So great to see that they are infilling that park and offering a variety of housing options. So super great to see that. A couple of events that we are planning. So we are currently planning with the Community Economic Development Department, the library, Parks and Rec, and Airport, trying to get some movies going. So similar to last year, we would have the outdoor movie series and have those throughout the city to try to hit the different areas. So in the process of planning those, more to come. As Matt had mentioned, working on an event for next year. That'll hopefully be a pretty big event and bring a good amount of people to the city. So more to come on that. And then spring cleanup. So this is a new event. that we had talked about with DIRT, our development review team, should clarify. And this was to take an opportunity to assist our residents and try to keep our community clean by offering a spring bulk cleanup opportunity, which we named Waupaca Dumpster Days. So great event that we're looking forward to. It's going to be happening on May 17th and May 18th at the Recycling Center. Within my report, there is a marketing piece that outlines what items you can bring, what items you can bring for a fee, and what items you can't bring. So check that out. Otherwise, it is also on Facebook. One note, we would be offering the opportunity for volunteers. So if anyone from the City Council would like to participate and be at that event, we would love to have you. I know I'm going to try to be there on May 17th, and we would be looking for people on May 18th as well. So if you are a council member, or if you would like to participate, anyone else in assisting and keeping our community clean, please let myself know, and we can get you set up for a time and get you the information that you need. And then also just a note, I do have some vacation time coming up, and we'll be gone April 26th through May 2nd. So if you do need anything before then, please let me know. Otherwise, my staff will be available to assist as well.
Thank you. Jared, any questions? Go ahead, Corey.
Jared, I was just noticing a lot of the individual addresses. Are any of those through any development agreements that we had with any companies in the past couple of years?
So 2320 Young Drive and 520 Woodland Circle. Those are both homes being built by Green Tree.
Okay.
So I believe they have completed their development agreement technically, but they do have some lots that they continue to own that they are continuing to look to infill. So
okay.
Not a development agreement specifically, but sort of.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments for Jared? All right, let's go over to finance. Steph?
Thank you. My report can be found on page 37. The finance department is working on wrapping up the 2023 audit. Everything has been going really great. We look forward to receiving the draft audit report once that's completed. We're currently working on completing the first quarter reports as well as the annual Department of Revenue reports, including expenditure restraint and room tax reports. And proactively thinking about the 2025 budget as we prepare those worksheets and the budget workshops that will be coming up in a couple months. I will be working with department heads with our continued efforts to keep track of their budgets. Throughout the year, we meet quarterly to go through expenditures, make sure everything is assigned appropriately, and discuss where they're currently standing with their accounts. And additionally, I have some upcoming training. I'll be at a conference next week for the Municipal Treasurers of Wisconsin, working toward my certification.
Thanks, Steph. Any questions, comments for Steph? All right, Justin, you in your new office yet?
I am, Mayor.
All right, well, that was part of your talk today.
It was. Yeah, so that's page 38 through 42 of the packet. Usually start with wastewater because we like to start at the bottom, work our way up. So the airport sewer extension project, of course, received all the approvals from the appropriate boards. Contracts are being circulated. We have a pre-construction conference next week on the 24th at 1 p.m. At the airport terminal. So with the contractor, Jossert Brothers, and our design engineer, Strand, and of course, city people. Our facility plan, we finally received comments back from Wisconsin DNR. There was just a handful, nothing earth-shattering. So we're working kind of through those and kind of update the plan and then get that hopefully finalized here within a month or so. Staff was able to decant 250,000 gallons of supernatant from the sludge holding tank. Now I'll kind of slow down on that. So our sludge tank is basically everything that we cannot treat and we have to pay to haul it away. Supernatant is a clear level or layer of water that rests on top. we can return that back through the plant, so we do not have to haul it. We have to be very careful. We're not always able to do that every year because the plant has to be running really well in order for that to happen. So we're pretty happy we're able to do that this year and accordingly save about 10 grand on our hauling expenses. Street side, April is our spring pickup of brush and leaves. We had that early snowstorm in the month, kind of timed out fairly well. That knocked down a bunch of branches and trees. So, it's if you guys get it out there, if all the residents, leaves have to be in a clear plastic bag. The brush or branches just have to be fairly small, like no bigger than 6 foot. You guys will come around and get it. We've been targeting Mondays, so give you the weekend to get your stuff out there, and then Mondays we circle around the city and pick those up. Met with the county and the DOT at River North. Also, Jared was there. So we're working on looking at the future roadway impacts of Royalton Street or County Highway K. So it was great to, coordinate that with the county and then get some input from the DOT and one of their traffic engineers. So as that area starts to build out, we are ahead of the curve here as far as safety and traffic impacts. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that we are looking into those sort of things and make sure that that area stays safe with the residential build out. Water side, those guys have moved over to the new facility as well. Their current garage is going to be slated to be demoed possibly by the end of the month, but most likely by the early May, So in the meantime, we have to cut off utilities, take care of some hazardous materials, get some permits lined up, and then that building, the old water garage, will be coming down soon, which is the old school bus garage at one point. Right. Speaking of that last snowstorm, it put wells 5 and 6 out of power for nearly 2 days. So I don't know if people realize it, but quite a few people were out of power, including 2 of our wells. They ran through the outage. Sometimes when we have that, instead of turning other wells on, we just run the backup power. It gives them a good exercise, make sure their generators are working, and they did. Facility side, there's a new office for Greg, the grant writer, up in City Hall here, so that is finally done, and he has moved in. One thing I did not note that I usually note underneath facilities is we are planning on planting trees next Tuesday out at the Eco Park. So we have approximately 60 trees coming. A majority of those are going to be planted at the Eco Park. The Rotarians will be helping out by planting 6 of those trees. And what we're trying to do is create, obviously, a number of things. Screenings for the new neighborhood, noise abatement for the new neighborhood, but then also a better environmental area and an educational program for the classes that take place out there. So that trail that is out there, we're going to try and keep that a little bit more established and have like a self-guided tour or a tree trek. So changes are coming out there, and we're pretty excited about that. And then finally, the facility, we did get temporary occupancy, which means we're moving in. There's a few punch list items that still have to be finalized, and then some more major items that doesn't really matter for safety-wise if we move in, such as topsoil work, asphalt work, and endowing the old building. So I think that's it, Mayor.
Thanks. Justin, any comments? I'm sure Aaron's going to touch on this, but we do plan on having an open house sometime in the future, too, so I think that's on your list tonight, right? So
It is now.
all right. Let's go over to Parks and Rec. Laura.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad Alyssa's still here because I want to just thank her for her work on the Parks and Rec board. She was definitely not shy to speak up and always positive and really creative with her ideas. So she will be missed very much. Our Lakeman Field project continues to move along. Our lights are up, and the new signage for our scoreboard and our championship sign have the Community First Lakeman Field on them now, so those are up as well. We are still waiting on electrical from WPS and are still hopeful that they will be in working order at the beginning of the season. We are conducting an April River Ridge Trail promotional event, so we put 14 yellow markers on 14 different segments of our River Ridge Trail. And if you can find all 14, you can come into the rec center and win a prize. I would like to thank Shindig, Aquamos, and Synergy for their donations. And we have a Friends of Waupaca Parks Workday scheduled on May 11th from 9 to 12 at Riverside Park. Pizza will be served if you're interested in coming out and moving some wood chips and having a good time. It's going to be a beautiful day. I just know it. We are adding another fitness class. So we have family cardio kickboxing classes now. And on the report, it says April 5th and 13th. We've just added one for April 26th. So if you want to bring family members of all ages, whether they be older or younger, they're all welcome. And Brainerd's Bridge Island Restoration Project is underway. We are still optimistic that that project will be done on May 1st when our shelter reservations open for the season. They are moving along, and we are doing this in collaboration with the Chain Exploration Center, first and second graders. We came out and taught them a little bit about erosion. They are designing how to help the erosion problem at Brainerd's Bridge, and then they're going to come out on May 1st, and they're going to see their designs in action, and they're going to be able to watch the trouts be put. The trout is going to be put into the river, so they can watch that happen, and they're going to have a fun little picnic out there as well. And as far as our rec side is concerned, youth baseball and softball are in full swing. We have draft night tomorrow night, and all of the coaches will be reaching out to the families shortly thereafter. So we are busy, busy, busy.
Nice. Thank you, Laura. Any
You're welcome.
questions, comments for Laura? All right, let's move over to the police department. Chief?
Thanks, Mayor. My report can be found on page 44. During the last month, one of the things that the department did, we tried to keep up with our training with firearms training and also DAT training. DAT training is defense and arrest tactics. So we're able to go to Fox Valley Tech and utilize their facilities during the week. We spent 8 hours of training there where the officers worked on rifle training inside, and then also the second half of the day, they worked on going hands-on with officers, whether it was pat-downs, speed cuffing, handcuffing with cooperative people, and also handcuffing with people that are not cooperative. It was good to do this training. We haven't done it for a very long time, and those are the areas where the department could get in trouble if we don't do exactly what we're supposed to do. So the officers, Pete Krager and Matt Batt, were the ones that put that on. They did an excellent job. And when we do our annual report, I actually have some videos of the firearms training and everything that I'll share with the council at that time. You'll be surprised as to how intense that actually gets, as to how they try to make it as realistic as possible. So, secondly, we worked with Greg Groman to write a grant. That was for the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force. And there's 15 agencies that are in that. And what we were looking for with that is equipment and money for training for our narcotics officers. We were able to receive $33,500. So we're able to buy some surveillance equipment with that. And also we're able to send some officers to the Wisconsin Narcotics Office conference that's over in Green Bay. So that'll all be paid for with this grant. Speaking of narcotics, we have Saturday, April 27th is going to be our drug take back. That's going to be from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. People can just come into the lobby if they want to pre-package their pills, just dump them in a Ziploc bag. All they got to do is throw them in the box when they get there. We do not ask for any identification or anything. We can take unused ointments, patches, inhalers, non-aerosol sprays, creams, vials, pet medications. That's something that often gets overlooked, is with pet medications. There are people that abuse that stuff. Vape pens and other e-cigarette devices, if the batteries are removed, we'll take those. The biggest thing that we want people to know is just never flush that stuff down the drain, because that gets into our water filtration system. and that'll show up also in our lakes and rivers. And then lastly, during the month of February, we had 757 calls for service. That's 46 more calls than last month, and I anticipate that those numbers keep going higher as it gets warmer out. During that time, we referred 13 criminal cases to the DA's office. There was 175 traffic stops that resulted in 134 citations and 112 warnings. We did have 2 officers get injured in the last month. One of the officers was attempting to arrest somebody on a warrant, and the homeowner's dog actually attacked him. That officer did have to go to the hospital and go through the rabies vaccination process. And the other officer, they were at probation and parole, and they were in confined quarters, and it took them quite a bit to get that person into custody. So he ended up with minor abrasions, but he's going to be fine. So that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Josh.
Well, just like half the other departments, we're getting ready to collect everyone's old junk. Electronics recycling is next Friday from 10:30 till 1 at Swan Park. All the details are on the city website and Facebook page, what items you can bring, what not to bring, and what has fees associated with it. And the other big project in the department this week, going to wrap up everything IT related at the new Public Works project. That's been an ongoing project for a number of months. And just a couple stats from that project. We had to do 104 data cable runs throughout the building, putting somewhere between 11 and 12,000 feet of cable in the facility, and that was to hook up all the equipment. 10 doors on our access control system, 7 wireless access points, 13 cameras. We've got 9 phones. We've got 10 computers in there. Work to interface with a couple vendors, our HVAC system, our SCADA, and our fuel system. And everything was done on time for the staff to move in to fully be on the new systems. And then the other cool part about all this is now the Public Works Department's finally on all the servers and systems we have here at City Hall, which wasn't always the case. So they're integrated in with our phone system. You can dial extensions to get over there. And then in process on getting various landlines from old buildings moved over to our phone connection here at City Hall, and that will save quite a bit of telecommunications expense as a result of this project. The Waupaca online staff and some of the Public Works guys were helpful on various aspects of getting this whole project done. And then we had the whole tower thing in there to help get the building connected. That worked out very well. We've got a very nice link going over there very economically, and both towers are going to help get some other connections to some other cities' buildings done in the next couple of months, and then we can cancel more various telecommunications expenses and get more things consolidate. So there's a chain reaction from some of the stuff from this building going other places. So that's just kind of the recap of that, and looking forward to getting that all wrapped up this week and on to other projects.
Thanks, Josh. Any other questions, comments for Josh? All right, let's go to Barb, Clerk's office.
Thank you, Mayor. My report is on page 53, and we had the spring election last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess, on the 2nd. We had a total of 160 voters, which is pretty good for the weather that we had, 35% turnout. And big thanks to the poll workers. They all showed up. None of them called. They couldn't get there, so I was kind of shocked about that. I'm very happy. And it was a slow evening, so because we use Badger books, we were able to send a couple of the election workers home early, which they were happy about. I think we sent 4 of them home earlier. We did have 2 provisional ballots, which means they didn't have their ID with them or it was expired when they came in to vote. So we did the paperwork, and both of them actually came in before Friday that week, so their votes were counted. We met at 4 o'clock and tallied them, and then I took them over to the courthouse on Monday. And then Lori was here today, and so we closed out the election. So the April election is closed out. And the next election is the partisan primary on August 13th. Lori is doing really good. She did a lot of training to be able to do everything with the April election that she could, so that was really good. I think she's had about 20 or to 25 hours of training for all that, all the different aspects on it. And now we are starting on the licensing for this coming year. That's about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Barb. Any questions or comments? All right, let's go over to Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. Council members, my report can be found starting on page 55 of your packet. I am going to highlight a couple of things that I think are very important, and then a couple of things that are not in the report. One, the WIDA project, or the River North Cottages, that actually did close today, so a little update on that. That property is now set to start construction tomorrow, if it actually didn't start this afternoon. So you'll see activity out there. Labor negotiations, we did get a letter from the WPPA and their rep that they wanted to begin negotiations early in the year, which is great for us. Much rather have those conversations now in the spring, leading into budget season, than starting it in August or September. And we had our first meeting on April 9th. It was a good meeting. We'll have subsequent meetings after, probably one in mid-May. I know we have the date set. I think it's even in the report. So we'll look forward to continuing those conversations. Council orientation, you should all see some links to the council orientation packet, either in the last newsletter or the report. I would just ask that you all please just take a look at it again as a review this year. There's not a ton of information that's updated other than contact information, but it's a great time to go through the Code of Ethics again as an annual review for all council members. So I'll just kind of thank you in advance for that. If you have any questions on any of the material in there, or something comes up and you're like, wow, it's not something I had previously thought about, just contact me, reach out at any time. Also, Emergency Management Committee, wanted to give an update. We had one of our quarterly meetings yesterday. And what we're focusing on now is we're focusing on updating our emergency operations plan. Our emergency operations plan was last updated in 2016. A number of us actually attended a class that was put on by Waupaca County Emergency Management at the courthouse at the end of March. And there's a basic plan, and there's 15 what they call emergency support functions. We're right now focusing over the next 2.5-3 months on the support functions that we play a lead role in. So, for example, some of the support functions, law enforcement plays a lead role, some of them public works, some of them city administration, and then others may be outside, maybe Waupaca County Public Health, maybe Waupaca County Emergency Management. So we'll get to those probably between the Q2 and the Q3 meetings. Right now, between Q1 and Q2, we're focusing on the ones that we play a lead role on. I also wanted to give a quick Public Engagement Committee update. Greg Groman has become the chair of the Public Engagement Committee. He's done a really good job. We've kind of pivoted direction, and he's working on a process, and the committee's working on a process in which we can engage the public a little more intentionally on some of the items that we might expect to be of more interest, is the way I'll put it. It's going to be a little bit of balance, and we're going to be kind of building the plane as it flies, but there is a kind of a national recognized system for getting more public engagement. And when I say it's going to be a little bit of a balance, we know there are mechanisms and avenues in which we do have to notify the public through public hearing notices, through every property within X amount of feet of a conditional use permit get notices. But sometimes we know that isn't always effective, or maybe as effective as we'd like it to be. So this is going to take a little more staff time going through this process. We want to pick 1 to 3 maximum in this first year to work through that process and see if we can get a little more public engagement. Let's see, June 14th, got to get that. So yes, we will have an open house for the new Public Works facility. I was able to take a tour of it a couple weeks ago before they moved all the equipment in. It's a beautiful facility. I think you guys will all think the same, and I couldn't help but think back to all the facilities we're currently working in and comparing them to what this new workspace is. The amount of efficiencies that we'll realize are more than I even appreciated as we kicked off the project, and it really is an awesome facility that will serve our staff and the residents for decades and decades to come. So kudos to everyone involved. Kudos to City Council for supporting that. And then last but not least, I just want to congratulate, we have two Erics now, Eric O and Eric H. And Paul, Henry, Dave, and Mayor Smith, obviously all won their elections. We have two Pauls too. All won their elections, and I also want to thank you all. I know sometimes as elected officials, you probably hear a lot of the complaints and the negatives. Thank you as a staff member for being that filter and being that ear for the residents. Also, just want to remind you how important the work you all do is. It is incredibly impactful. We are all, it was said in the meeting that we were at in Plover, we're all kind of stewards in our position. There's many people before us and many more after us, and appreciate all the work you do to keep everything going. So thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Well, thanks, Aaron. Any other comments? Questions for Aaron? All right, let's go on to unfinished business. We have ordinance number 03-2024. This is a second reading, but we'll have Jarrett go ahead and explain that for us.
Of course. Let me just jot down to it here. So this one's on page 109 of your packet. So this is the second reading. There's a red line on page 111 that'll show you a little bit more what is changing. So essentially this is a cleanup. So back when we updated our land use table, we did allow or move zero lot line common wall developments to the R3 district, since there already were some in that district. So just, again, diversifying the housing stock and availability and options in every district. Part of the document that Colin had mentioned in the beginning. So by doing that, there was a section that did need to be moved over as well to the R3 dimensional standards. And that is just a section that reduces the minimum width and area of a zero lot line common wall development parcel to make it more feasible to have that sort of development. So essentially clean up, adding section C to the bottom of the dimensional standards. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, thanks, Jarrett. This is the second reading of this, so if you so decide, we can approve that at tonight's meeting.
I'd move to approve.
Motion by Hagan. Second? Second by Martin, that we approve of ordinance number 03-2024.
Things are good.
Any further discussion? Since this is an ordinance, we need a roll call vote. Barb?
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, and then next up, we have ordinance number 04-2024, which is also the second reading. Jarrett?
Thank you very much, Mayor. This one starts on page 112 of your packets. A red line can be found on page 113. So this, again, is just a cleanup. There's some language as we were looking at the zero lot line or common wall developments. There's some language just in how these are created that we felt just should be expanded upon, not only for staff clarification, but also any individual reading this code, just to make it more understandable. So adding in some different language in there to make it read better, make more sense, and I guess just generally flow better. So happy to take any questions if there are specific questions about any of these changes.
All right, any questions, comments? Again, the second reading, so we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Nagel.
Second.
Second by Peterson, that we approve ordinance number 04-24. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
A roll call.
If looks could kill, I just got killed.
Oh, no.
Barb, call the roll.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, and one more here, ordinance number 06-2024. This is also a second reading. Jared.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This one starts at page 114 of your packets. There's a red line shortly after on page 119. So there are a few sections here that are just cleanup, just kind of making the language consistent throughout this section of the code. The big change comes in section 6 of this code, where it's talking about a Class 2 co-location. So this is specifically on page 121 of your packets, the red line. So this change is coming about as there's a shot clock on Class 2 co-locations of 45 days per the state statutes. So we have to abide by that shot clock. And if we don't complete the application, get them a denial or an approval within the 45 days, it is automatically approved. So currently, as our code had read, we do require a conditional use, which requires public hearings, plan commission meetings, and council meetings. And it's just really not possible to get it in unless timed absolutely perfect in that 45-day shot clock. And also thinking of a Class 2 co-location, it's really just adding minor equipment to the top of a tower. So it's not any tower modification per se. So staff did not feel a conditional use is really appropriate anyways, and it also did not meet the shot clock requirement. So the big change here is changing that conditional use to just a site plan so that we're still having record of it. We're still getting a review. We can meet the shot clock requirements. But it is just really being reviewed by staff and approved by Plan Commission. So happy to take any questions on this one.
All right. Thanks, Jared. Any questions? Again, looking for approval.
Move to approve.
Motion by Olson.
Second.
Second by Peterson that we approve ordinance number 06-2024. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you. Jared, thanks. Looks like you're up again a little later here, but we'll give you a little reprieve here. Under new business, we have a proposal to move forward with TLC sign electronic message board bid, and that's Laura.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll find the memo on page 123. So a little background, we have a current message board that is, for lack of a better term, very archaic. We have missing letters that we have to photocopy. The locks freeze in the winter. The hydraulics stop working long ago. And sometimes it can take literally up to 45 minutes to change a message on the message board, depending on how many times you have to go back and forth to the copy machine. So on March 1st, we received 14 bids from 8 different sign companies. And you can see those bids on page 124. There were many inconsistencies with size, pixels, dimensions of the sign. So what we did was we took the 4 least expensive, because that was our number one priority, bids, and then we went back to those 4 companies and we asked them to create similarities among the message boards. So you can see that on page 125. Our IT department also vetted all 4 companies to make sure that the messaging boards could work across all of our current systems, and he was really pleasantly surprised with the different companies and what they were able to do, and gave the go-ahead to go with anyone that worked for us. So TLC, according to that table on page 125, did come in with the lowest bid for the best design, which you can see on page 126, and they have everything that we're looking for. So the only problem is they came in more than what we had set aside for our capital improvement plan, which was $25,000. However, we were never going to take the money out of the GO budget. We were always going to take it out of our equipment replacement fund. And after speaking with Steph, we have $48,000 in our equipment replacement fund, so we can afford the sign, even though it's more than the $25,000. So our request then is to move forward with TLC sign bid of $36,575.41 for a new electronic message board for the recreation center.
Thanks, Laura. Anybody have any questions? So if we approve this tonight, Laura, when do you think that they'll have that?
Everybody had a turnaround of 6 to 9 weeks, so hopefully midsummer.
Nice.
Yes.
Eric?
I'm just wondering about, I don't remember at our meeting, installation. Do we have to hire an electrician to get everything hooked up?
Because, well, there's already electricity out there, and because we went with the 16 millimeter pixel size, that will work with it, so we don't have to put an additional electrical out there.
All right, any other comments? Colin, go ahead.
Is the sign need wired connections to the building to update it, or is it all wireless?
That is a great question. So we're going through cloud services, so it's all wireless. So if we hit a situation where there is inclement weather and none of us can get there, we can put a rec center closed on our electronic message board from our own homes, or any sort of other update that might need to be pressing.
Can I follow up?
Yeah, go ahead.
If the internet is out, then or your Wi-Fi is out, then there's no way to access that. Is that correct?
Well, maybe Josh can speak to this at a certain time, but you can use it on a phone app too. So I don't know if it can go mobile. Thanks, Josh.
So all vendors proposed using a cellular connection to power these signs in lieu of hooking them up to our computer network. It was consistent across the board, and based on what I read, that seemed like it would work fine. So it's so if our building, well, if the building's without power, the sign wouldn't work, period, but it's going to operate based on how the cellular network's operating.
Okay, thank you.
He is listening back there.
I know, thanks, Josh.
All right, any other questions or comments? We need a motion to approve this if you're okay with it.
Motion to approve the purchase of the sign.
Second.
Motion by Dykstra, second by Martin, that we approve the purchase of a sign, electronic sign for Parks and Rec from TLC Sign Electronic Message. Sign Electric at an amount not to exceed $36,575.41. Any further discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Paul Mayo?
Aye.
Paul Hagan?
Aye.
Henry Veliker?
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky?
Aye.
Eric Halverson?
Aye.
Colin Dykstra?
Aye.
Dimitri Martin?
Aye.
Corey Nagel?
Aye.
Eric Olson?
Aye.
Dave Peterson?
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Laura, thank you. Next up, we'll go back to Jarrett, ordinance number 07-2024. This is actually a first reading of this ordinance.
Thank you very much, Mayor. The ordinance can be found on page 127 of your packets. The red/blue line can be found on page 134 of your packets. Purpose of this ordinance is to change some of our design standards within our subdivision ordinance. This came to be as we are working on a project for a new subdivision, and it came to light, again, the expenses, talked about affordable housing, and street construction is one of those items that it does contribute to the affordability of the housing units that are placed around it. So staff took a hard look at our design standards, had a pretty lengthy discussion on it, went back and forth, and came up with some new pavement width standards ranges that still allowed it to go up to a certain amount, but allowed that flexibility in case we're looking to reduce it. And some other reduction benefits come from again, slowing down traffic, especially in neighborhoods, and things like that. So At the same time, we looked at it to make sure that it was still passable, parkable on the sides and usable for emergency vehicle and services. So the big change outlined in the red line can be found on page 135 in the table under section 5. So I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I did work in collaboration with Department of Public Works, and so I'm sure they are happy to field any questions as well, now or later.
Thanks, Jared. This is the first reading, so we will take this up at our next meeting. Listen, the public has any comments on this, Jared will get back to us. You get any comments from the public, obviously, try and put those towards Jarrett. Okay. Next up, then, we have election of canvas reports, 1671, which is on page 139 of your packet. Barb, anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I mean, again, it's just showing the winners of the election and that it was approved by the head of the canvasser. So we would need a motion to approve this report.
Motion to approve report number 1671.
Second.
Motion by Dykstra, second by Peterson, that we approve license report number 1671. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against,
Aye.
say no. Next, we have license report number 1672. This is a operator's license. We have 4 individuals on there. Again, Eric is probably familiar with this, but I like to tell people, operator's license is actually a bartender's license. That's how we know it better. But it's defined in our ordinances as operator's license. So we would need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Dykstra, that we approve license report number 1672. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, say no. Motion carried. Communications, recommendations of the mayor. Actually, Aaron, I'm gonna let Aaron, he has a couple of comments that he would like to make first.
Yeah. So I was going to tell you more about June 14th, and then I got so excited remembering my tour of the Public Works facility, I didn't give you many details. So June 14th, we're planning to have that open house. So everyone, obviously all the council members will have the ability to see the facility that day along with the public. And we'll get times out to you ASAP as soon as we have them set. But that's not the only thing we're doing. We're going to make it kind of a full day and evening event. Obviously, there's been a ton of improvements, and I encourage any of you to just go by that block. There's so much work going on and improvements going on that block. The lights went up at Lakeman Field. Those are a huge improvement, obviously huge fundraising effort that helped make that happen. So there's a night game. I believe they play Hortonville, Lakeman do, Friday night.
7:30.
Yep, it's a Friday, 7:30. So we're gonna do a little thing with the lights for that as well. And then also, really for the last, I can't remember how many years we've owned what used to be known as Habercorn Field, but I think I was in the Park and Rec department still, I believe. And ever since that ownership happened, I know the mayor, we've had internal conversations, the mayor's had thoughts on how do we make sure we don't forget what that was. And as of late, we've talked, and our intentions are to basically have the new Public Works facility sit on the corner of Habercorn Drive and Kronk Way. So looking at renaming a couple streets, minimal, there's 3 homes impacted. Actually, Justin and I went and had conversations with the ones that were home. Got positive reactions to the ones we were able to talk to. So that is a resolution that'll be coming forward at the next meeting at City Council. But that would also be, the intent is to do something for that on that evening, so.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Anybody else have any comments for tonight for the good of the meeting? Go ahead, Scott.
One comment, Aaron mentioned the WIDA project. I happened to drive by there today, and they did start excavating. It was sometime after 1 o'clock. I drove by and they already had a whole bunch of topsoil, so it's very exciting. A new project to watch go up.
Yeah.
So they didn't waste any time.
No, I got an email at 10 that they said everything closed,
Yeah.
so they got going right away. Cool.
Nice. Any other comments? We're ready. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make one.
Colin, go ahead.
I noticed our last meeting, we had the extended conversation with Agape, and I noticed in Aaron's report that the city reached out almost immediately and set up a meeting with them to help go through their issues. So I wanted to commend everybody involved, and thanks for taking care of that, or taking a step forward to help them out.
Yeah, wait a second here. Anybody else? All right. Motion to adjourn by Hagan. Second by Olson. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Again, say nay. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:39 PM.